In the whole exercise to gain and retain power, politicians do ensure that they find lasting ways to always get what they need. They say there's no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, but what they have is permanent interest, and this really guides them to move from one party to another, and that's what political defections, is all about. And the aspect of moving from one party to another has often been discussed in the national stadia, looking at the need to find how we can tackle this head on. And discussing this vital topic with me on Nigeria's democracy, Gale of Defection, and getting it right, I have high articulation guests in the studio with me. And starting from my immediate left, I have the senior pastor, Sword of Liberation Bible Church, a public affairs analyst, social media influencer, Bishop Austin Igbasa. Thanks for joining me, Bishop.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
And next to him is a human rights activist, erudite at that, and he is Solomon Idiogbe. Thanks for joining me,
Solomon. Good morning, and viewers at home, a very good morning this morning.
Well, a pack of behavior is what we see in Nigerian politics, and describing this act and what even transpired in Ebonyi State that has to do with the state governor, Umahi Dave, and of course the deputy, and the 16 members of the House of Assembly, the ruling of the court, and then a higher court ruling. All of this, can you say that a respite is gradually coming closely in tackling this infamous act of politicians cross-carpeting from one party to another? Bishop.
Well, that judgment, I will hail the judgment of Justice Eko, that that judgment is going to shape our politics and shape the reasoning of politicians. And I want to say this, that without apology, 90% of politicians, they don't have integrity. And the reason is that they really don't want to serve the people. It's all about their interest. We know there are things that led to defection of some persons that are glaring. But in the real sense, when you put it together, the gale of defection among politicians, most time you discover that it is not in the interest of serving the people. And you see politicians are so shameless that what they say yesterday, they come to swallow it today. What they said yesterday, the recommendation they gave you yesterday, they delete it. They don't, what they said yesterday, words are not important to them. Integrity and future is not important to them. And they took the follower as if the followers are fool. So you can just bamboozle them and say something. You imagine a man who rose into prominence from a political party, who has enjoyed, they see political party as a vehicle, that when you want to go somewhere, just board the vehicle. If you like, use minibus or use 2K, in as much you get to where you are going. That is the mentality of politicians. Now, the issue of, this is my house, I want to build it. Even if I have an intention, and that my intention is not the intention of the collective desire of the political party at that moment, I will stay put, I will stay in, I will just be there. But this kind of prostituting, politicking is really embarrassing, that people have gone to the extent that they don't care about their name, they don't care about their family, they don't even care about what people say tomorrow. You see a man who tells you something is white yesterday, he comes around and says that thing is black now. And so it is painful. It is not in the interest of the masses. And I think that that judgment, for that judge to be able to give that judgment, I think we should hail him. We should be able to appreciate such judges. You know, we have judges today that they dance to the tune of the government. I give an example. A judge gave a judgment in Kogi State. His 1 year salary was seized by the government because they felt that that judgment was against the interest of the governor of the state. So, and these are the judges we really call the true judges, men that look at the position they occupy today, and they look at the independence of their mind, because judiciary in Nigeria is not independent. So any judge that gives this kind of judgment, we should clap for such a judge, because that is a yardstick that all Nigerians are not corrupt. Because when you give a judgment, I give you an example of Osun State. A woman gave a judgment today. It was within few months the woman was sent on retirement. Even the governor of the state set up that judge, that female judge, and the woman was rusticated out of the system. Why? Because the governor of the state had the central party backing him up. So for a judge to give this kind of judgment, you will remember that state high court has given judgment in favor of the governor, because the governors are so powerful today that after Almighty God and witches and wizards, the president and governor of Nigeria are the most powerful people. They determine what happens everywhere. The governor determines who become the judge. He determines who become the commissioner. He determines who become the speaker of the House of Assembly. He determines what runs in the houses of assembly. That's why everywhere you see a speaker taking his stand against the governor, the days of such a speaker is number. Only few. Come and mention to me the governors in Nigeria today that are not in charge of the houses of assembly, that they don't determine who become principal officer and whatever comes up there. Everything you see happening in the legislature today is just legislature in Nigeria are like keyboard, and the governors are the organist. Whatever tune they want, they press it. The governor determine who become a VC of a school, determine who become members of the board, determine who become a chairman of local government, determine who become a senator, house of rep, almighty governor. Now, and when you look at it, a man rose to that prominence from a political party, and shamelessly the man came up and said, I'm moving because of one flimsy excuse that does not tally with the Constitution. I think that judge needs to be awarded, because for him to look up to what is happening, that judgment is giving us a direction, and is going to control the mentality of our politicians that have become a bull that have entered into the Indian shop. Yeah,
no doubt the judgment was applauded by a cross-section of people in the country, but let's also understand that there's another stay of execution on that judgment, and the court is still working on that, and we just hope that that could bring about victory for democracy, because this seems to be harming democracy critically. And we've been fighting hard, even at the podium, where we always talk about the need for politicians to have a good sense of reasoning. You know, if at all they have to leave the political party, it shouldn't be based on, policy disagreement or policy, alignment, and not for the purpose of retaining or gaining power or running away from being pursued by the anti-graft agencies over looted properties. What do you have to say in that direction, Solomon?
I would join Bishop to congratulate Nigerians, Eboyi people, and the electoral family, as it were, which we may refer to as the electorate in Nigeria. Of course, the electorate in Nigeria have been so straitjacketed that they almost become too voiceless. Many believe that elections do not hold in Nigeria, erroneously. And I've also always corrected that if your votes do not count, why will politicians come and look for you to give you 5,000 naira to vote? So it's your not voting that makes the rig election. That's just by the wayside. Like I said, I joined every other person that have congratulated the judge and Nigerians for the development. The issue you are trying to look at, if there will be judgments, and unfortunately, Bishop had put it the way it should be, that the judiciary and the legislative are unfortunately an appendage of the executive, whether you call it at the federal level or at the state level. The governors decide who gets what as per judicial issues. It's hard for the judge in the state for you to have a case against a state government, for the judge to have the zeal or the courage to pass judgment in favor of you against the governor, unless where it's so glaring that sometimes you see them hiding away and say, I like jurisdiction, I like jurisdiction. It's just a way of pushing the buck from them so that they don't be the ones to bail the cat. It's always happened. And so it is also at the national level. If you look at the response of Umahi, you discover that that's how far they have ridiculed the judicial system. Rather than talk about the legal issues, rather than talk about the contentions, rather than talk about the contestations, the comments, the reasoning. Yes, the Constitution of the Republic gave you a right of association, freedom of association, freedom of expression. The electoral law or the electoral act gives you a restraint or a direction on how you can exercise your rights as an electorate or as an elected officer within the Federal Republic of Nigeria. For instance, the electoral law does not permit you to jump ship without reasons. It gave reasons and conditions upon which you can jump ship. And now when you flag such order, the Constitution of the Federal Republic in its entirety may not be the one catching up with you, but the electoral law will catch up with you. It's just like the criminal law. The Constitution of the Federal Republic does not talk explicitly on all criminal actions, but the criminal laws, as it were, that will be quoted, cap so and so, you know, of so and so state of the Federal Republic, you know, you violate such action. It's just like a policeman misbehaving. You will quote the Police Act. When somebody misbehaves within the conduct of the Federal Republic, you say within the conduct bureau, this is what you're supposed to do. And so when I hear some people argue that we're just, you see, the problem of Nigeria is even the Nigerian people. Well, the reason is because a lot of them over time have been, you know, have been so caged, because the government of Nigeria, if you ask me with all due respect, are manufacturers of poverty. And so they've so impoverished the people that they no longer have a poverty of the pocket, they have a poverty of the mind. And so they don't reason clearly. Now it takes me to the issue of politicians and their jumping ship attitude. I don't know if you listened or you have had opportunity of reading through the confession of Ambassador Ibrahim Shehu Kazauri, who made a self-confession that all politicians since 1999, no exception, all politicians since 1999 in Nigeria are corrupt, himself inclusive.
In his own opinion.
And as we speak, I have not seen anybody going after him. He called on the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to come and arrest him. That is corrupt. So are his people. So are politicians. And I would have expected that the police and the EFCC and ICPC would be going after him.
But that's no news, because there's always an element
no,
of corruption in every man.
No, it's the first time a politician, a former minister,
is making such an open statement.
A former ambassador is coming out to make such a bogus comment and accusation. And nobody is coming after him. That's just to tell you how porous, how criminal-minded, with all due respect, to the politicians they are. Now, talking about anti-graft, have you read George Orwell? Animal Farms. You remember there were dogs that were kept by him, and that whoever does not support him, the dogs will go after him. I'm sure you read that in Animal Farms. Permit me to say that Nigeria is a clear description of that Animal Farms we read so many years ago. And so when some persons refer to Nigeria as a zoo and people counter, I keep quiet, because I go back and I reason. I said, then if Nigeria is a full description of Animal Farms, you can only find a zoo in an Animal Farms, where in the initial place the founding founder of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or those who cried for independence of the Nigerian state, designed Nigeria to grow. Whereas those who came after 1963, when we became a republic, and the early 70s, started redesigning Nigeria to shaping their pockets and their family. And that's exactly how Animal Farms was described.
Okay.
Those who came,
Nigeria is not just.
Those who came.
This problem is not peculiar to Nigeria alone.
No. The Nigeria
is peculiar to politics, and we can only say that we have a minimal effect of that.
No, it's not peculiar to politics worldwide. It's peculiar to the Nigerian state, and is an African syndrome. You may not know. People say Nigeria is the headquarters of poverty. But they also forget very quickly that Nigeria is also the headquarters of corruption. in the West Africa region, I do not want to talk about, do you know that at a point, China, India, and Nigeria were a developing nation, Can you say that about China today? Or Japan? Can you say that clearly about India? Because they're fast developing, but we are still where we are. Now, what I'm saying is that the politicians in Nigeria are so self-centered. Whatever they do are for personal aggrandizement. They are so parochial, myopic.
Okay, you can't generalize.
No,
you can only say some.
Politicians. I've not said all, but I said politicians.
Yes.
And when I say politicians, I may be referring to all.
I'll come back to you. Let me quickly say that the opinions made on this platform are opinions of the makers and not that of independent television. And let's take our minds back to what transpired a few months back, where another political figure, another big figure made a pronouncement, who was the chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee, Professor Isse Sage, when he said that it's shameful for a ruling party at this time, to be accepting decampees from previous ruling, who were previously ruling parties, accepting the decampees, and the decampees they accept are decampees of blemished records. That is only a way of advertising themselves that they are not different from the previous party that was at the center of governance. Now, if we are to take that part of what Professor Isse Sage said, and also talk about the morality question and the ethic question of political parties, what do you think this problem lies in? Don't you think political parties should come out from the doldrum and see how they can make a clear cut on how to, regulate the aspect of defection or cross-carpeting from one party to another, in order to ensure that they keep records of those who cross-carpet to their parties, so that they don't have issues with graft. What do you think of that?
I think the political party have not done what they ought to do. They are not doing their best. If you take your mind back, there was a time the chairman of the same party with Professor Isse Sage also said, come, as soon as you come to our party, your sins are forgiven. That's a big statement. From, what it takes to be a chairman of a party, a national chairman. That is, if you are going to talk about that party, anything happen, even to the world level of any state, your picture is going to start to be beside whatever is happening anywhere, because you are representing the entire organization. Now, for a national chairman of a center party to say, come, as soon as you come, your sins are forgiven. Now, that statement, if you begin to dissect it, that is, we need you sinners to come. And what is the sin? Is it talking of the sin in the church, or you are giving your life afresh to Jesus? No, it's talking about what you have looted. As soon as you come over to this end, whatever the damage you have done to Nigeria, everything is wiped away. So this party now is the correcting fluid that is going to wipe your offense away. There is no prison for you.
It's like a refuge.
Yeah, you don't have a question to answer again. Whatever allegation or everything you have stolen, just come with it. Come over here. Your sins are forgiven. Then how do you divorce that one from what the party stands for? The national chairman of the party stands as a figure of the party, as a voice of the party. And to say, come, your sins are forgiven, is coming, okay, come. It's not a church service.
But as a deviation from that, other members who joined, from other parties, who are even in the ruling party, are also facing graft issues.
But the
anti-graft agencies.
What I'm telling you,
to show that basically that's not entirely
what I'm saying to you is that, come, every sin you have committed, as soon as you come here, your sin is forgiven. What is the meaning of it? Come with your baggage of the integrity deficit. Whatever you have looted, whatever you have stolen, come with it. The man did not say we are going to reconcile, we are going to do a plea bargain. Just come. As soon as you come, and you don't forget that even the platform where this was spoken, the president was seated. So how do you now divorce the president and national chairman of his party from every statement made there, if that is not there, if that is not what they stood for? Then the question is that how many of these sinners that cross-carpet are facing persecution or prosecution so to say. How many of them can you point to that have crossed carpet, that what they were doing there was so glaring? That shows you. That's why I said the two parties, the two major parties in Nigeria, they have made it so much that it is about interest. It's not about ideology. It's not about integrity. If you are going to talk about it, when people were campaigning in 2014, they told us for refinery, and they have 1 year to go in 8 years tenure. Maybe the refinery is in the sky, and we are going to see very soon. We hear about Lagos, Calabar.
There are modular refineries.
Lagos, Calabar train, railway. I don't know if that thing is passing the sky, because I know that if there's going to be Lagos, Calabar, the railway must pass through Ore. And I go through the road, I've not seen anybody use cutlass to clear anything. And if you take your mind back, 2016, bulk of billions of naira was allocated for it. 2017, 2018, nobody has been arrested that something has not happened. Lagos, Calabar now has become a dead issue. Nobody talks about it again. Money allocated for it, no sign on the ground that anything is coming, because there is no how you are going to say Lagos, Calabar. Maybe the Lagos before go to Kano, and from Kano to Abuja, from Abuja to Uromi, and from Uromi, maybe that is the design. But to a sane person, you will know that Lagos, Calabar does not have to take you to the north. It is for the interest of the southern people, and it was due to bamboozle the mentality of people in the south. Today, where is that Lagos, Calabar? Has anybody been arrested? We have chains of corrupt activity in this government that we have shouted to the rooftop. How many persons have been sentenced to jail? The question is that where is Magu today? What is the state of Magu? What is the fate of Magu? Is Magu still on the pay slip of Nigeria government that taxpayers used to pay? What is the end? What has been the end? Has the public been able to be in the know of what happens to Magu? Now, if a man heads an anti-graft agency standing as a watchdog, and up to today, nobody in Nigeria has asked for a brief from the government. The president has not addressed the nation about what is the state of Magu. What do we discover? What is the state of things? Are we still paying him? What is the position he's occupying? In my place, they said when you use a stick to hit snake and hit the ground, hit snake, hit the ground, you are telling the snake, say, as I hit you once, start running. You are not intentionally wanted to kill the snake. If you want to kill the snake, you start hitting the snake with the stick. Not hit the stick, hit the ground, hit the stick, hit the ground. Say, okay, we run. If you don't start fighting the issue, you are fighting. Say, go. I will break your leg, but just find your way out of here. Who is deceiving who? Now, is it this same politician who told us $1 to $1, and even their statement is on internet, what they said on public, and today they are denying it? Where is the integrity we are talking about?
Thank you for
I'm talking from top to bottom.
Thank you for your article.
Our politician that goes to London for medical treatment, and they told us every government officer that tried in their government will be sanctioned. And then they practice the change. Start with me, and the people who ought to say change start with me are going fly over. Do you know how many of our governors are taking refuge in London now? How many of their states have a first-class hospital? If they have put it in order, would they be going to London? And these are the same people who said, with taxpayer money, we don't know what is happening. They don't report to anybody. So it's like a banana republic. What is happening? It's like a banana republic, because nobody asks questions. When you ask, that's why I said we should give it to that judge to be able to come out and give such judgment. I know that between that time and now, the heavy persecution on that judge is not a joke. But that man is giving a sense of direction so that our politician, this judgology network, is going to be corrected by that single judgment. Either they contest the judgment or they not. The man has made about 3 major points. I know our lawyers, because of what they are going to eat, there's nothing they can do. But the point is that posterity will remember Justice Eko, that he was able to stand in Abuja and give a bold judgment that will give a sense of direction. No matter what, look at the way the governor of Ebonyi responded. It shows you that this is the kind of leaders we have that are leading our state. You saw the man talking, not talking about issue on ground, not talking about the content of the matter. He was talking about the container. We are talking of the content, because there are consumer, there are container, and there are content. The judge mentioned content, and the state governor came out and he's talking about container. He's talking about the container that convey the content. He's not talking about the content that was mentioned. That is the man who wanted to be a president of Nigeria. And you can imagine if he becomes president, that Justice Ekpo and his entire family will have to run out of Nigeria that same day. You can see the way he said, and I will report to this, I will report. You can see the audacity of putting judiciary in his pocket. Thank God that the Nigerian Bar Association gave him the exact reply that he needed. If a chief executive officer of a state can be declaring this, how do Ebonyi governor run the judiciary?
You made a point. Thank you very much. You made a point, and you've already said it, and that there could be victory coming, from the judicial aspect. But outside the judiciary, outside the judgment of the court, don't you think there are other very salient, topical, areas that we can look at? Take, for instance, the constitutional amendment. And the legislature happens to be a huge part of that, Some have said that since there is no express law, preventing cross-carpeting, let there be a constitutional amendment process that will bring out a law in that regard. But the challenge here is that those who are to really give weight to this seem to be beneficiaries of the process, the political actors. So what do you think the common man can do in that respect to make sure that we have a very clear-cut democracy? Solomon.
Unfortunately, nothing the common man can do apart from advocacy. We have been doing that, by God's grace, those of us who are within the activism realm.
Civil society activists.
Yeah, we talk about it on a daily basis. We saw how we made protests to the National Assembly requesting that they should do the needful. We saw how President Muhammad Buhari too was protested against to say you must sign the electoral bill into an act. And by God's grace, it's yielded fruits. That have been the only thing. But unfortunately, we do not have many activists, many of the people coming out to speak to the ills of the society.
What about the legislature that represent the constituents?
If you are referring to the legislators, then I'll be taking my
legislators.
And that's why I say the same thing. Because unfortunately, they have metamorphosed from being legislative arm to legislative arm of government. Put it clearly. It's only in Nigeria I see a legislator inflicting prices. What are the duties of a legislator? It's to make laws and do oversight functions, appropriate bills, look at the costs of governance, and when necessary, cut it. A government will do what they call budgeting. At a point they said envelope stuff, zero budgeting. All the grammars in economics, they put it there just to cut costs according to them. But all of them was just to bamboozle the Nigerian people. The government will come out and say 1 trillion will take us to run government for 1 year. It will go to the legislative arm. The legislative arm will say no, it is 1.5 trillion that will take you. That's 1 trillion cannot take you. Don't forget, when they are doing budgeting, all MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies go to defend their budgets. It's like Philip telling us that what I need to run my expenses for this month is 500,000 naira. And I'll say, no, Philip, you need 1 million. Am I Philip? Am I the one executing it? The executive have told the legislator they need so and so. It's only in Nigeria, both at the national level and at the state level, you see legislators increasing budgets. And you call that legislators? They are legislators.
No, now, you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that.
I said that. It's my opinion.
Let's be objective.
And I'm objective. It's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. The Constitution of the Federal Republic as of today guarantees me freedom of expression. But let me say this too. Do you know my fear? It is not the amendment of the Constitution as it's ongoing that is my fear. It is the adoption, if you like, signing into bill.
Okay, he's wanting to amend,
yes,
another to sign into.
Yes, fantastic. Most of the amendments done in the Constitution as it stands today, fantastic. That you cannot be a political office holder and you want to contest without resigning your previous position. You cannot be an appointee of government and want to go contest in your party election without first resigning. You cannot do this. You cannot do that. You cannot be a delegate in, fantastic. And you saw Mr. President asking that Section 84, Section 12 be amended to...
Be expunged.
Be amended, if you like, expunged, or amended to suit him. Now, it is one thing for the legislators at that national level to amend. Don't forget, this same bill will come back to houses of assembly. How many of the houses of assembly are not an appendage of the executive of their states?
You are a bit presumptive.
It's not presumptive. Philip, have you forgotten in this country that a bill was passed that the houses of assembly should have autonomy, and the same assembly voted against themselves? What else? A man was a slave and enslaved. At a point, the master said, "Look, I don't want you to be a slave. I want you to be... I
grant you freedom."
Yes, I want to grant you freedom. I want you to be a master. At best, be a son, not a slave, so I can treat you as one. He said, "No, I'm better off a slave." That's what happened. And you think that those same people can do anything good for you when they cannot do something good for themselves? Now, again, autonomy for local government is there. Autonomy for judiciary is there. Autonomy for legislative is there. And so many other beautiful areas atomized. Independent candidacy is there. But let me tell you, most of these political parties are controlled by governors. Don't forget. Because since Obasanjo came, with all due respect to him, he changed the arrangement of political parties that the governor of a state is the leader of the party and the president of the state is the leader of the party at the national level. And that gives so much power to governors. Like he has tried to describe, in quote and unquote, the mighty governors who controls who become a senator, who becomes a House of Rep members, who becomes member of the Houses of Assembly, who become local government chairman, who becomes commissioners, who becomes what? And when you now get there, he now also decide who become principal officers. For instance, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria does not permit a governor to sack a local government chairman. Does not even allow vacancy at the local government level. But today you and I know, for Edo State, for example, for about 1 year now, we have not had local government chairman.
Yeah, yes. that's in the pipeline.
No, I'm just saying how they can disrespect Constitution and the constituted authority. The local government chairman, or if you like the third tier of government, is autonomous in the lettering of the Constitution. The only autonomy that they didn't actually have is the financial autonomy, because they have a joint account. And that's what the Constitution is trying to remedy now. But I can tell you, because the governors control the houses of assembly, that bill amending and asking for autonomy of local government may never see the light of the day.
Let's excuse me,
sorry. So is of that of the judiciary and the legislators. Because a legislative arm that can vote against itself can also vote against any other person because they don't want it. So if you ask me the issue of cross carpeting, I am afraid if independent candidacy can sail through. You know why? The political parties are part of the problem of the political system in Nigeria. Philip, do you know you cannot, you today, with all due respect to you, you cannot contest governorship of Nigeria in this next election? For instance, you say, are you underrating me or undermining me? Let me tell you why. First, we do not know. The last one we have seen is that collection of interest sum by any of the two major political parties in Nigeria is not less than 20 million. But I'm not sure you can be reckless with 20 million as at now. So that 20 million naira does not account or amount to you winning an election. It is not the one that you are going to do billboards with. It's not for the jingles in radios and television. It's not the one to grease the palm of political leaders and political parties. So political system in Nigeria is expensive.
That's exactly why we've been saying that there should be a way to make it less attractive. Because if it's less attractive, all of this will be...
it's part of the corruption system in Nigeria. So a government...
But we are all about changing it.
And it cannot change until we start having some of these amendments. Because if Philip wants to be a governor of Edo State in the next dispensation, Philip must first have a 50 million naira to throw out and throw away.
Okay.
And I am not sure that if Philip has a 50 million naira, he is willing to throw such a 50 million naira out without guarantee of return of such money. And so, if a man ends up spending 100 million naira to achieve something, you expect him not to get back. These are part of the reasons why we have corrupt system and a corrupt society. And to the legislators, they are, unfortunately, with all due respect, they have not been a true election in Nigeria. They have always been selected by the chief executive of the state. And so they are at his call and beck. And this has been a part of the problem that we have had. And until we are able to separate the legislators from the judiciary and the executive, we may never have a way forward.
In case you're just joining us, it's TMI, and we are having democracy and the Gale of Defection in Nigeria towards getting it right. And I've been speaking with a senior pastor of Sword of Liberation Bible Church, Bishop Austin Igbasa, and also with a human rights activist, Solomon Itiogbe. And we're looking at this aspect where, like we said earlier, make governance less attractive, but we look at, again, those who occupy positions like the office of the president, the office of the governor, are you saying that we can get sincere leadership, that would be in the hem of affairs and ensure that it drums the right things to be done? I think that's the point we are in, Bishop Austin.
Yes, we will never say that. I can say to you that as we are talking right now, there are policemen that they prefer to die than to take bribe in Nigeria. They are still in the system.
I know some.
But that they prefer to commit suicide than to take bribe.
Well, are they hidden?
They are not hidden.
They are there.
We have one of them in our state here. The other day, we have at least about 3 of them.
And at the hem of affairs.
At the end of the
hem of affairs.
Yes. What I'm saying is that they are at the end of affairs.
I don't want to bring the hems of affairs, even here.
That at the end of the day, what happened? The system does not encourage them. Because they knew that when you make such a man, I know a commissioner of police that the governor brought money for, and he says, what is this money meant for? He said, for your boys, for this running of the election. The man said, we have been adequately taken care of, sir. We don't need this money. The governor of that state made sure that that CP was removed within 48 hours. He called the center and said, this one is a pastor, I cannot work with this one. We brought money for him, for police to run around and do something. He said, we have been taken care of. Now what we are saying is that the system of our governance does not encourage people that are truthful, people that are sincere. We have sincere people, fantastic people in the place of power. Now, that when they get to the place of power, the people around them will not allow them to do their bidding. There are some of them that they have stood their ground to be able to do some things, and they've been able to, that we are able to see it within our system. But I believe that, just like you asked the last question, what can we do? Now, I believe that the judiciary, though the president started it autonomy, but you saw all the governors, they went to the president and said, Mr. President, no, we don't want local government to have autonomous account. We don't want the legislature. And despite the executive order, the thing has not seen the light of the day up to this moment we are talking about. Now imagine what is the fear of the governors if the judiciary is not under them, if the legislature is not under them, and under democracy, this arm of government ought not to be reporting to the executive. Though the president that did it to the states did not also practice it in the federal, that he wanted the state to start it, and the governors, they went in as to go and meet the president and said, no, we cannot, this have to go through some process, and the executive order is standing by now that the judicial officers are still at the mercy of the governor of the state. You saw recently how governors nominate their friends, their cronies to become judges, even when they are not qualified. Then what do you expect such a man to do when there is a case that has to do with the sitting governor or his interest? He's going to bend the law to that direction. But as we are still talking about fantastic judges today who can stand their ground and endure the pain of being humiliated for doing what is right. But what happens to them? Look at a lot of people now say justice, say, oh, he has been brought over by some person. He has been the master to do something that is just. you saw some persons who believe that, why would he do that? Why is it that the state high court was not able to give that judgment to Governor Umahi? Because it's not possible. Because the man is going to make sure that you don't have the next car. Your office will not be taken care of. Go and look at where some of these judges stay. They are the mercy of the governor of their state. Now, that makes the governor so powerful. That's why I'm so interested in this quarrel that is between the National Assembly and the governors of their state. I appreciate it. I think it's the handwork of God.
Okay, something will come out from it.
Yeah, that the governor will not determine who become a senator. The governor will not supposed to determine who become a member of the House of Reps. It should be. Look, I know that the National Assembly themselves is for their own selfish interest. That's why they said, if you are a political appointee, you cannot be a delegate, because the governors and the president have their way opportunity to make sure they determine. Why is it that President Buhari rose against that bill when they said the presidential election will come last? Everybody run for their, because if that has been done in 2019, the man will not come back. He will not come. That's why you saw that he rose up. There is nobody that is sincere as far as politics is concerned. Why was the man concerned about the calendar of election? If he knows that he's so popular, he has done so well from 2015 to 2019, and it will not be a walkover. Why was he bothered? Why did he stop that bill? That, when Saraki said your election will be last, you will now know that nobody is loyal to him, because the governors, as soon as they secure their own state, it will be the president that will be begging
sacrificial land.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that the masses, the only thing we can do is the advocacy, and the few persons who are in these offices who are genuine and they are godly hearted people, we should applaud them. And if the government is not encouraging them, the masses, I think from the state that Justice Eko come from, with that judgment, the state where I don't know the state he came from, the governor of his state must be proud to name either a university or name a place in GRA of his state after him for that judgment. I don't care. Do you know that Justice Kayode Esho of blessed memory gave a dissenting judgment that today still distinguish that man, despite there was the bulk of the judgment does not favor him, but the dissenting judgment that Kayode Esho of blessed memory gave, people are still referring to him, integrity, and he still can raise their head up in the midst of other people. So I think that the masses have so much to do, because a lot of people, even the electorate, a lot of them did not know their rights. They don't know. These people in position are bamboos and make sure that the masses don't even know their left from right, their right to protest, their right to say no, we are holding you accountable. Have you listened to some governor talk? They talk as if they are the creator. Even God of heaven does not talk like some of the governors. Okay, I'm
coming there. Big thanks for your articulation. Let's look at other areas where, apart from the infamous act of defecting from one party to another, there could be a very genuine reason why somebody would defect from his party to another party, like what happened in Edo State, for instance, where it appeared there were some political machinations, to prevent the governor of the state to run for a second term, and then he left the APC for the PDP. And then we have these comments, the backlash comments of the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, and then that of the governor of Edo State. All of these are coming up, and there could be issues concerning where even the governor said, well, he's not defecting. He has already said it, and he keeps reiterating it, that he's not defecting from his party. Now, some people seem to look at this as a position to, as an opportunity to retain power. Now, what do you make of this backlash between the governor and that of the Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, as regarding this, and also the excuse of the fact that there could be a major reason why, which is seen as genuine, why someone will have to leave his party for another party, because not all of these acts are infamous. Solomon.
A tortoise can never leave his shell. A tortoise will always be a tortoise, like a snail. The day the snail leaves his shell, the snail is dead, because the shell provides succor, shield, and a whole lot of things. And so that's how they see themselves. In the issue of Nyesom Wike and Governor Godwin Obaseki and the deputy, for me, it's no news. I've been in these states. I have seen a lot of things happen. You cannot compare in any way the decamping of Obaseki from APC to PDP to that of Umahi from PDP to APC. They are two different things.
That seems to be a very genuine reason.
Yes, seem to be. But the actions he perpetuated or the deeds he did within the APC is already replicated in the PDP. Because how can't it, like Jesse Wike said, it's an act of ingrate. The Benin say, if you not when you say no yagbe or my say no yakeke, simply put, if you set a trap as at yesterday, it's not enough to have been able to catch an animal, but not enough for that animal to start getting rotten. But
don't forget again, they say that there's no permanent friend, no permanent enemy, but permanent interest in politics.
That is the bad side of politics.
And that's what is playing out.
There should be permanent friends. There should be permanent interest as well. Let me tell you, what has happened? What is the fighting and the infighting in the PDP? You came to a party. Before you came, there was already an election. There was an executive in place already. All you would ask, Philip, if I am a landlord in a house and I am squatting you, for instance, you cannot dictate for me how your squatting will be unless we are paying the bills together. And if we are paying the bills together, for instance, and perhaps I was the first occupant of that place and I'm subletting to you, I have certain rights over and above you that is a second squatter. Now, you are not deciding that you appear to be the winner that takes it up, perhaps because you have an advantage of age. And you are not allowing me now, who was the original occupant of that apartment, to also decide certain things, or at least share. You came into a political party. You are saying the executive have been just elected before you came, should be dissolved. And we are talking about restructuring the organization, whereas the same you is adamant and refusing to restructure your state.
You can't say adamant. Please be careful your statements. You can't say adamant because don't forget that the very fact that the constitution also made him the leader of the party, and so
he has
that discretion.
The constitution is not with an open end. Constitution is a guiding rule. He made you a leader of the party, but there are conditions.
Okay, how do we resolve it? That's exactly what we're talking about.
When you make
you a party,
you didn't say when you come to the party you dissolve the executive. It says you must work with the structure of the party.
Okay, now how do you resolve this comment?
How do you resolve it? It's for the governor to go back to where he first met God. I don't know how himself and Jesse Wike got united. But if you ask me, they were his saving grace. When he lost the ticket from the APC, he was gone. I would have been finished politically. But for the saving grace he got from the People's Democratic Party. And if you ask me, Jesse Wike is lashing back at them that when they needed an umbrella, he gave to them. He's right. See,
but does the party belong to Nyesom Wike? Is it not a party that belongs to the people?
And that's why I said I made an example of a tenant, an occupant, and a co-occupant. Let me tell you, in the history of the Nigerian politics, Jesse Wike is the only person that has been a PDP member and has remained a PDP member till today, has not decamped, has not done this cross-carpeting, for whatever reason. You thought he has never been offended by his political party?
Okay, thank you.
The point I'm making,
yes.
Neither a PDP nor an APC, as far as I'm concerned, by my opinion, is a sense.
Thank you.
Or is a way out to the Nigerian problem.
Okay, thank you.
But they should go in and settle their problems rather than come watch that dirty in their house.
Let me allow Bishop Austin Igbasan to also partake in this whole aspect concerning Nyesom Wike and Governor Obaseki in this regard in 2 minutes.
What I think is that the governor of the state, with due respect to him, I know he is somebody that doesn't want to decamp, and it came at the 11th hour. But the 11th hour will have hampered his political fortune, because those who were fighting him targeted the political calendar, and that was why they pushed him. I think at the time he went to the villa that he has to see the secretary to the president, SGF, and the rest of them. But to me, I felt that what was done to the governor here by Governor Wike and the rest of them, Wike is a political mahogany. Our governor here cannot compare himself to Governor Wike. Wike is a political mahogany. So you must know where you are coming from.
He's a strong man.
He's a strong man politically. Our governor is not a politician. When did the governor come into politics? Our governor here, when did he come into politics?
Well, he's getting it right.
What I'm saying is that
is not the contention.
The issue is that
there's a contention. I do not share the same thing with you.
Sir, the issue is that this complaint of politician, did they complain when the governor was in APC? The question is yes. Did the same complaint come now in PDP?
Yes.
The question is yes.
Is he getting it right?
Then, is he getting it right now? The politics is a government of all. And I think that PDP has owned this state, even though they have not produced a governor for some years. Everybody knows that a sitting party that can give 2 senators out of 3 is not a baby. And if governor was sitting as a APC governor, they won 2 senatorial seats. That tells you that PDP is not also a pushover party. If you ask me, who among the governor who needed one more than the other, I think the governor at that injury time needed the PDP more than the
Okay,
PDP.
what's the healing process now?
The healing process is that I think that the governor, I didn't expect our governor also to reply Chief Williamson Wike in the public. I don't expect him, because all of us knew the role that Wike played here. Somebody like me, I supported the governor. I was in the stadium. I mobilized pastor. I mobilized everybody, because I believe that a technocrat will do more than a thoroughbred politician. And I want to say I'm disappointed that he replied the man publicly. I expected, because all of us knew the role that Wike played. Those who were fighting the governor, they are stronger than the governor.
Okay, what should the governor do now? What should be done?
What should be done? I think the governor, one of the power of leader, the strength of leader is humility. And that's what I saw in Goodluck Jonathan.
Okay. That
the governor must go back to somebody like Wike, not say we will stand against a presidential ambition. If a man stood for you in the day of your reign, you must also stand for him in the time of sun.
Okay, thank you.
Nobody will justify our governor for crucifying Wike, because all of us knew the role that Wike played.
Thank you.
In politics, that's one of the things I love about Chief Lucky Ibinedo. He said one word that I will never forget. He said, I don't criticize my friend. I make them to become my enemy. I make them to become my friend. And that is what I think politics is all about. If you somebody, now I give you an analogy.
No, don't give me an analogy.
No, what I'm saying is that a boy beat his father,
okay.
and you a stranger, you put him in your house.
Okay.
Definitely is going to stab you.
Thank you.
We should not allow that to repeat.
Thank you very much, Bishop Austin Igbasan, for your articulation. Thank you, Solomon Idiobe.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break.